Let's read Social Studies, textbook page 276 through 279, and then we'll complete practice book page 45. Unit 6 is all about the marketplace, and lesson 1 is called Goods and Services. In this lesson, we'll learn about what the difference is between a good and a service, and what people do in order to earn money and how they use their money. Let's go ahead and read together. You can read with me, or you can just follow along as I read. Lesson 1, Goods and Services. Communities have many kinds of workers. Some workers make goods. Goods are things that people make or grow to sell. For example, look at all these fruits and vegetables here. The different kinds of fruits and vegetables are goods because someone had to grow them and then they sell them at the store. If you look here at the dog, you can see the dog, both the dog's food, its food bowl, the collar that the dog is wearing. Those are all goods because someone had to make them and then they sell it for other people to buy. Let's continue on the next page. Some workers sell goods. People can buy goods in stores. Communities have many kinds of stores that sell many kinds of goods. For example, let's look at this kitchen and all the different items that are in the kitchen. We can see right here this cereal box. This is a type of good. Someone had to make it and then they sell it at the store. These flowers are goods because they had to grow them and then they sell them at a store. Here, even his clothing that he's wearing, clothing is a good because they had to make it in a factory and sell it at a store. Looking at just this page, do you see any other items that are goods? There are many. Almost everything in this page is a good. For example, we can see all of the different types of furniture, even the table and the chair, this cart here, all of those are goods. Someone had to make them and sell it at a store. We can see some of these kitchen appliances in the background, the plates and bowls, the glass, a vase. Those are all goods because they had to make them and then they sell them at the store. Let's continue on the next page and turn. Ready? Begin. Some workers sell services. Services are kinds of work people do for others for money. Money is what people use to pay for goods and services. You use many kinds of services in your community. For example, services are jobs or types of work that a person does for other people and they earn money. For example, this boy here is using the service of this hairstylist because she is doing her job for him and he pays her so she gets money for her job, her service. Now, if mom or dad cuts your hair at home, they are doing that service for you. But if you are maybe familiar with going to a place to get your hair cut, usually that person is providing you with a service and then you pay them the money for their job. Now, another service is this mail carrier right here. I imagine you have received either some letters or maybe some delivered packages to your home. Well, some of you might have a different type of mail service where you actually have to go to the post office, but maybe you have a mailbox or you have received some packages at your house, and that person is providing a service to you. The mail carrier is doing their job for other people. right? You don't just go to the post office and find a huge pile of letters and boxes and have to sort out and find it yourself. No, there's a service, a job that someone has done to help you, and then the mail carrier receives money for doing their job. Another example is a veterinarian, where this person is helping maybe a family who has a pet that is not well or just needs to have their regular checkup. They're providing a service to you because you might not be able to figure out what is wrong with your pet. So they're providing a service to you to help you out, and then you have to pay them for their service to you. Another example is a bus driver. This bus driver is driving the bus, not just because the bus driver is interested in only driving the bus for themselves. They're driving the bus for other people to ride the bus. So a bus driver is providing a service. And in order to ride the bus, you do need to pay for it. Can you think of any other jobs that are services? Imagine this. Think about a restaurant. If you have gone to a restaurant before, I don't think that you just walked right into the kitchen, started cooking the food, and then took it out to a table and ate it and then left the restaurant. It doesn't work that way. Instead, there are a lot of people who provide a service at a restaurant. There's the chef who's working in the kitchen, who's providing the service for making the food for you. Then there's the server who goes into the kitchen, takes the food that's ready and places it on your table. And the server also refills your drinks for you, makes sure that you have everything that you need while you're having your meal. So there are several people in a restaurant environment who provide services to you. I'm sure you can think of many other jobs that are services. Let's read the summary together before we move on to our practice book page. It says, summary. Many people work selling goods or services. People use money to buy goods and services. When you're ready, let's go ahead and go to your practice book, page 45. Page 45 is called Pet Shopping List. Read the list. Circle in blue the words that name services. So you need your blue crayon. And we will circle services on this list when we find one. You also need to get your red crayon. And the next direction says, circle in red the words that name goods. Goods need to be in red. Services are blue. Remember, a service is a job that someone does to help others for money. And a good is something that you can buy because it was made or grown and it was sold to you at a store. Okay, let's take a look at this list. It's all about this little dog here, and we need to figure out what is a good and what is a service. Okay, here's our list. Take dog to vet. When you take a dog to a vet, is that a service or a good? Now, the vet is helping you, and you need to pay the vet for doing their job. That means it is a service. We'll circle that with blue. The vet is doing a job for you that you cannot do for yourself, and you pay them for doing that job. Okay, let's look at the next one. Take dog for grooming. So grooming, that's like a haircut for a dog. Is that a service or a good? Well, the groomers know the best way to cut the hair and also to keep the dog safe and make the haircut look nice. It's something that you are paying them to do for you. That means it's a service. We're going to go ahead and circle that in blue. Very good. Now, first grade, I'll tell you a quick funny story. Several years ago, I used to have a dog that needed to get groomed, which means some dogs need to get their hair cut. Some dogs, they have different style of fur. They don't need to get their hair cut. But I had a style of dog that her fur certainly needed to get cut. Otherwise, her hair would get so long. And so anyway, one time, my family decided instead of taking our dog to the groomer, we were going to go ahead and try and cut her own hair at home. So we got a special pair of dog grooming supplies, all different kinds of safety things in order to work on doing the haircut at home. And we put out a cover over our kitchen table. And this was a long time ago. So this was my mom, my dad, my two sisters, and I all together. So that means 5 people, one tiny dog. We thought, okay, we should be able to manage grooming her. This is going to work. First grade, I'll just tell you, it did not work. Okay. What happened was our poor little doggie on the kitchen table could not understand what we were trying to do. And she didn't really cooperate very well. So she was moving all around. She wasn't sitting still. We were trying to cut her hair, and we cut little pieces over here and another little piece over there. And it was just basically pretty much a disaster. So we realized, okay, let's take our little doggie to get her haircut by people who actually know what they're doing. Okay, we learned our lesson. Okay, thankful for groomers. Okay, moving on to our next thing on our list. Get dog food. Is dog food a service or a good? It is a good because someone made it and then they sold it to you, and you get to buy it at a store to bring it home for your dog. Let's continue. Get new leash. Is a leash a service or a good? A leash is a good. Again, someone made it and then you bought it. And then get toy. Is a toy a service or a good? It's a good as well because it was made and then sold to you at the store. Okay, now let's answer some questions here at the bottom. What are 2 other goods that might be needed for a pet? Now, it could depend on what kind of pet you're thinking about. You could continue thinking about a dog. You could think about a cat. Or you could totally change and start thinking about a fish or a bird. Okay, that's totally fine too, because a fish and a bird need totally different things than a dog or a cat. Okay, so I'm going to actually continue with this dog example here, but if you want to change, that's totally fine. You need to list 2 other goods, meaning things that you would buy at a store that you would need for a pet. Now, maybe not all pets need this, but I'm thinking about a dog. I can think of easily 2 other things that a dog might need. It might need a food and water bowl, and then also some dogs like a dog bed, or sometimes you have a special little doggy crate, or sometimes in a house if you're trying to block off a dog from going into a certain room, there's a doggy gate. Okay, so those are a couple options. So I'm going to include that right here. I'm going to write down 2 things. I choose to write down a food bowl and a bed. But of course, that would be totally different if you're talking about a fish, right? A fish would need a fish tank. You might need a special light, or you might need a special filter to keep the water clean. Maybe you're going to need the fish food that's appropriate. Maybe you're going to put rocks on the bottom of your tank or some other plants that are growing inside. So again, this can look totally different for you if you chose a different animal. Okay, the last one. What is one other service that might be needed for a pet? We've already talked about a vet and grooming, but I can also think of something else you might need someone to do for you for a dog. For example, if you were to go on vacation for a couple days and you cannot take your dog with you, what would you do with your dog? You can't leave it at home alone. Maybe if there's a family member nearby, they could take care of it. But if you cannot find someone to take care of your dog, actually, you can have a special dog boarding situation where you take your dog to a place where these people take care of your dog for you for just a few days. So I might say that a doggy boarding, a boarding place might be something you need if you go on vacation. There are people who actually are also dog walkers. So maybe if you are unable to walk your dog, you can have somebody who comes to your house and they take your dog on a walk for you. Okay, so there's 2 options for a dog. Again, if you have a different animal, you can think of one other service, something that someone does for you for your pet. Okay, so I wrote down dog walking, right? Where someone can come and walk your dog for you.